thank you. We continue our countdown to the general election, and ruled by rail, the Honolulu Mayor's race has become one of the most watched races this general election. Former Governor Ben Cayetano is running against former City Managing Director Kirk Caldwell, making it the first time in state history that a former governor has decided to run for mayor. And joining us in studio this morning is mayoral candidate Ben Cayetano. Great to see you this morning, and thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for inviting me.
So let's talk about PRP, the Pacific Resource Partnership. You know, their attack ads came out right after your libel lawsuit just came out. And I was wondering about the timing of all of this, because obviously the general election right around the corner. Why file a lawsuit against PRP right now?
Well, because if I file it afterwards, if I lost and I filed it afterwards, people would see that as, my being a sore loser. So we thought we'd file it now. And
but there's no way the situation could be resolved by the general election, though.
No, that's true. But it will be resolved, win or lose after the general election. Mm-hmm.
Kirk Caldwell says that you just need to grow a thicker skin. These type of attack ads, while he doesn't like them, are pretty much par for the course in politics. What do you say about that?
Well, Kirk has stood silently while PRP has actually come out and accused me of committing a crime. Kirk knows better. And I think that it's a reflection on his character, as far as I'm concerned, that he stands by silently, while these attacks are going on. I'm disappointed that he's done that, because all he needs to do is say publicly, he doesn't have to talk to PRP, say publicly that I disavow those ads, because 1998 he supported me. He came out, openly supported me, contributed money to my campaign. And that's the year we had all of these issues.
Mm-hmm. Obviously the big issue is rail, and you can't get around it, or whether you like it or not. And, people pretty much know your stance on rail and Kirk Caldwell's stance on rail. But what if, you're elected mayor and the rail project is allowed to continue? What would you do to work with transportation and to try to improve traffic for Oahu if the rail is continued?
Well, if rail is continued, if I'm elected, I don't think there's any way rail will continue, because the Federal Transit Administration has already said that they need somebody in City Hall who's receptive to the idea of rail. And one reason I got involved in this is that in this election, is because I know from my experience that rail and the cost of rail will suck up almost everything else, whether it's money for the parks, the police department, or the fire department. And what will happen is that you'll have a tax increase of some kind. So, that's a real hypothetical question. I don't see my election resulting in something like that, because I think for the city council, if the people elect me, it's a mandate, and it's a signal to them that they don't want this project.
If you were in City Hall and Honolulu Hale and you're elected, what would be one of the first things that the public would notice? Because whether you're talking about bus rapid transit or the rail project, it's still, the effects of that are still long off. So what would people notice immediately?
Well, we could do things that would ease traffic congestion within 6 months. And this is our FAST plan. There's an element of our FAST plan that we can, doesn't take any building, it just takes some cones or contraflow lanes and things like that. So I would start that right away. But also, I think it's time to really begin very seriously the upgrading of our sewers and our water system, because that's really critical to any kind of development or prosperity in the city. One reason there are so many places that are undeveloped right now is because the sewer capacity is not up to speed. And for all the talk about transit-oriented development by the city and all that, it won't happen unless you upgrade the rail system. And what they don't tell you is how much it would cost. Because as much as they've criticized my transportation plan, the reality is the city does not have the final engineering plans for downtown Honolulu. They don't know what's under the ground. And how can you possibly, figure out or estimate the cost of the project if you don't have the plan? It's like trying to build a house with only 3/4 of the plans completed.
Final question, Governor. When you look at former mayors of Honolulu, you talk about Mufi Hanneman or Jeremy Harris, Frank Fossey, they all had this passion and drive for Honolulu. So if you were elected mayor, what would get you excited in the morning about running the city?
Well, I think what would get me excited is that I will have the opportunity to provide the leadership that will pass on to future generations the kind of city that I think we should pass on. A city that continues to be beautiful, a city that, that is consistent with the culture of our people. We respect the Hawaiian culture and not do anything to disgrace that. That would excite me because there are so many other things that can be done for the city in terms of development, in terms of prosperity, that you need to focus on what is important rather than what might bring you status.
Well, Governor, it's certainly been very exciting to watch the race between you and Kirk Caldwell, so we really appreciate you coming this morning to say a few final words.
Sure. Thank you very much. And
coming up tomorrow, Kirk Caldwell joins us for a live interview. That's tomorrow morning at 6:40. And to see this interview again, you can head to the top video section of our website, kitv.com. It is 6:48. We'll be right back.